by miracle of sound. All right, and welcome back to the Shardbreaker podcast. This is episode 1 of Bands of Mourning, the third book in Mistborn Era 2. We read chapters 1 through 5 this week. I am Midnight, your host, and I'm here with Darkness and Mythic.
Hola.
All right, so we start with part 1, which starts right after the prologue, where Wax is leaving the bar after Mibs, or whatever his name was, and his cronies all gave up and surrendered. Wayne had used Wax as a distraction, causing Wax to be hit a few times. Wayne also asks about Wax being okay with getting married a second time, as he finds that marriage and being alive are the two things people seem to get worse at over time. Constable then begins calling out to Wax.
You're done, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
Your laundry's done, by the way.
It's actually Jesus' lunch, not laundry.
Oh.
You
put his lunch in the laundry machine?
No, it's in the microwave.
Oh.
And I make the same sound?
They make similar sounds.
That was pretty
I
similar.
interpret all beeps the same.
Oh my god.
Anyway, so the constable then begins calling out to Wax, and he decides to use his allomancy to get to his wedding instead of the carriage. As he pushes himself off of structures throughout the city, he eventually gets to a large survivorist church. As he lands on a water tower next to the church, he thinks briefly about Lessie and how he had killed her. Wax then finally lands next to the entrance of the church where guests were already arriving, since survivorist weddings always happened early in the morning or late at night. He pushes his way into the church and finds Steris in a fashionable white dress, pacing while waiting for him. She states that he was late, but not extremely late. Wax notes that she had insisted he go on the raid, however, and she asks about it as they head further into the church together. Wax finds his anxiety melting away a bit as she speaks. So were you surprised that Steris had been encouraging Wax to go on this raid the night before their wedding?
Oh, no, not really. She seems to be supporting him. Like a lot.
Right. It's just kind of weird.
I'm kind of mad because I really want them together.
You like them together now?
I really do.
I don't.
I told you were going to warm up to them.
I'm so annoyed because I was like, at this point, just fucking like do it.
Do it? Whoa!
Yeah, and I do mean that.
That happens after marriage, Darkness.
Not in this day and age.
In their day and age, though.
Are you also warming up to Steris and Wax's relationship, Mythic?
No, fuck her. Fuck her.
Damn.
I hate her so much. Terrible. Terrible person.
So Wax then heads over to...
It's gonna be Saris and Wayne.
That
That's the
would be,
whole reason it's gonna be.
Okay. Wax then heads over to change into his white suit as he tells Steris that the raid went well. He then begins changing, and Steris stays as she says they'll be married in an hour anyways, so there's no point in leaving. However, she does turn her back to him when he begins undoing his pants to change into his white suit pants. His
Which
valet...
I found hilarious.
His valet also shaves his face for him. Steris then asks about the pendants for the wedding, and Wax states he gave them to Wayne, since Steris liked some disturbances in her day. Steris, however, says she liked planned disturbances, and Wayne does not stick to a plan. However, she did make 6 copies of their wedding pendants just in case. Wax says that if she plans for disturbances, others are likely to go wrong, but Steris says she likes to at least try. So yeah, what did you think about Wax giving Wayne the equivalent of his wedding rings?
It was the right person.
Wayne's like his best man, right?
Yeah, his best man that doesn't show up to the wedding.
Yeah, still best man though.
Well,
I mean, was there really even a wedding though?
There was supposed to be. They got into the ceremony and everything.
Yeah, but there wasn't really a wedding, so he didn't miss anything.
I see.
I think he's just looking out for his, pseudo brother.
So Wax finishes his outfit by strapping his gun to his waist and putting on a new pair of shoes. Steris then glances at the clock and states she had planned for them to go in 2 minutes from now, causing Wax to joke they'll be spontaneous and be early while also being late. Just before they head into the main room, though, Steris asks if Wax is sure he wants to marry her. Wax thinks that he doesn't think he could ever love again after what happened with Lessie, but Steris had been there for him through his grief the last few months, and he was truly fond of her. So he tells her he is sure he wants to marry her. Marassi then peeks in, stating that the crowd is getting fidgety and that a man is here to see Wax. It's the same man that had been with the constables before, and he has the pendants that Wax had trusted to Wayne, along with a note from Wayne saying he was going to go get drunk. The man then reveals himself to be a Khandra, stating he needs Wax's help, as Harmony had been distracted lately. Wax, however, gives a firm no and leads Steris into the next room. So what do you think about the Khandra coming to ask Wax for help on his wedding day?
Harmony. Fuck Harmony. Let Harmony die. Fuck him.
Can Harmony die?
I mean, we know the vessels can die.
All gods can die.
The powers can't die, but Sazed can die.
all gods die eventually.
But yeah, also, what do you think Harmony's distracted with? Because the Conjure's like, we need your help because Harmony is distracted. What do you think Harmony's focusing on right now?
Himself. He's finding his inner peace.
Yep,
Having a
exactly.
me
He's
day.
fighting himself. He's fighting his alter ego.
That's what the Conjures don't understand. He's like having a spa day right now. And they're like, what the fuck do you mean?
He's not really lost in thought. He's lost in general.
So Wax and Stairs then begin to walk through the center of the domed room as little girls sprinkle ash on the carpeted floor. Braziers on the wall cause smoke to rise to represent the miss. Wax is surprised to find Wayne not in the room, even with the note, as Wayne was truly Wax's only family. Stairs' family had luckily made a good turnout, however, and Wax suddenly imagines it was Lessie here with him and is almost surprised when he turns to see Steris. He begins to get nervous and tense as they reach the altar and the priest begins to speak. Wax stares up at the dome, unable to look at Steris for the moment. However, as he does, he notices the water tower beginning to shift and fall towards the church. Wax quickly grabs Steris and pushes them away from the dais as water crashes down onto the domed church roof. So what do you think about Wax being like, yes, I want to marry you, and then suddenly feeling like super uncertain when at the altar?
That's cold feet's usual, you know.
That's totally unexpected. No, it's not. It's really not unexpected.
Yeah, I mean, his
it's
grief
kinda
over Leslie's
upsetting,
kind of been like re-brung up because of everything that happened last book. So
It's kind of upsetting because I completely understand, but I also want this to happen. So
Wayne fucked it all up.
Oh, fuck Wayne. Wayne's good. Okay.
He fucked it all up.
No.
So we move to Chapter 2, and we continue with Wax's point of view as he helps an elderly constable chief out of the church and over to a carriage. Water runs in small rivers out of the church and into the gutters as the priest talks to an insurance advisor. Wax then walks over to a soaking wet Steris, apologizing for not getting them out of the way of the water in time. Steris then jokes that the Cosmere's out to get her, so she hadn't even considered that their wedding would be flooded. Steris then thanks Wax for not treating her like the other men have, since she knows that she isn't the easiest person to be around. Wax, however, insists that he isn't bothered by her quirks, but Steris had noticed how tense he had been during the ceremony. Wax can't say anything against that, but he insists he is still wanting to move forward with getting married. Steris does admit that she has 2 backup dresses and a backup wedding date at another church 2 months from now, just in case this church exploded. So what do you think about Steris having a backup wedding date in church?
Because things tend to explode around him, you know?
Yup. What do you think, Darkness, about Steris' backup plan for the wedding?
Well, we know she's the type for a backup plan on everything. It's not gonna happen.
You don't think they're actually gonna get married?
Backup plans?
They're not getting married.
No, it's gonna be Wayne's gonna marry her.
Oh god.
Because Wayne's gonna marry her, Renette, and Renette's girlfriend. Wayne's gonna be married to everybody.
Oh my gosh. So we switch to Merassi's point of view as she wanders around outside the flooded church. She had been looking around the area for someone and had gotten multiple compliments on her butt while doing so. She eventually finds Wayne pretending to be a cook and bossing around some servers. Merassi watches him for a bit before coming in to tell him that the wedding breakfast had been cancelled, although Wayne already knows this. Merassi correctly guesses that Wayne was behind the sabotage of the wedding, although he technically tells her that he hired people to make sure the church was flooded. He had meant for them to just mess with the plumbing of the church, but they got carried away. Plus, no one got hurt, even though Merassi says people could have. Wayne also says that he's sure Wax will subconsciously thank him for stopping the wedding. He also insists that this gives Merassi a chance with Wax still, although she insists that she doesn't want a chance with Wax. They also talk a bit about Finn and how gruesome their religious texts are. So what do you think about Wayne being behind sabotaging Wax's wedding?
I figured.
And
I instantly knew it was gonna be that. And then I also got mad at Wayne. But it's okay.
Wayne is the best. He's just looking out for Wax, obviously.
Also, Wayne's still insisting that Merassi should go after Wax, and Merassi's like, I am not interested. He's not interested. I'm not interested. Stop it, Wayne.
But they are, though.
They're not interested.
Yes, they are. They're denying their love. But there really is love there.
They're not interested. Wayne continues to insist that Merassi should fight for Wax, but Merassi tells Wayne that she's moved on from her crush on Wax. Wayne is shocked that people can move on from crushes, and wonders if he should move on to Renette, which Merassi says that he definitely should. Yes. She's like, you should have probably a while ago, dude.
Yeah, because, she's
yeah, especially gay. Since Renette has a girlfriend. Wayne calls
again, by the way.
Yep, and then Wayne calls it a phase. Yeah. Wayne calls it a phase, but a phase that has lasted for 15 years. So she's been dating women for the last 15 years, which is potentially as long as Wayne has known her. He then sighs and takes out a
but it's
bottle
a
of
phase.
wine and asks Marassi to cheers to moving on. So yeah, did you agree with Marassi encouraging Wayne to move on from Renette?
I mean, after finding out that she is gay, yes. Let her be her.
Do you agree,
Mhm.
Darkness? You think Wayne needs to move on?
Hell yeah.
Also, did you like the confirmation that we have a lesbian character now in the Cosmere? I know you guys have been waiting for that.
It's been too long. It's been too long. He should have done this a lot earlier.
That's crazy. Yeah, it was cool. Like, finally. But still waiting for the other character we were supposed to know about. Anyway.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I'm waiting for the certain other gay character we're waiting for.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that comes up in Oathbringer.
Why do they always gotta be gay?
What do you mean?
Why can't they be what?
Like-
They be what? Huh?
Multiple like gender options
Poly?
are dateable for
Bi?
like, any option. Poly is a relationship status.
We get hints that Shalon is bi.
Wait, actually,
Yeah.
wait.
All her
that
all her
explains
things
a
with
lot.
Jasna.
That explains a lot.
Yeah, Shalon is Shalon's bi. So
That you said hints. Now you're confirming it.
I am confirming it basically.
Is it actually confirmed, or is this just your head
Brandon
canon?
has confirmed it, yes, that she is. We get a lot more hints further into Stormlight. She makes a lot of comments about women at like bars and stuff. Like she's obviously like in a relationship with Adolin, but she makes a lot of comments about women as well.
Mhm. So Adolin has to be very worried then. Got it.
Adolin's gotta be worried about everyone, not just Kaladin.
Uh-huh. Kaladin would have been a better shooter anyways. Apparently he dies in book 3, so...
Apparently.
Oh my god.
So Wayne continues to insist that Marassi... Oh, no, I've read that already. Marassi suddenly sees someone standing behind her in the reflection of her wine, and she pulls out her gun. It's the man in the brown suit, who is actually a Khandra. Wayne thinks the man is here to get him to convince Wax to talk to him, but the Khandra replies he isn't here about Wax. Instead, the Khandra asks Marassi to not be offended by being his second choice, as he asks her what she knows about investiture and identity. So what do you think about the Khandra coming to Marassi for help?
I mean, hey, he needed somebody, obviously.
What do you think, Darkness, about Khandra coming to Marassi for help if Wax isn't going to help them?
I would too. Honestly, I'm that kind of petty.
They're like, you know what? You've been doing great stuff, Marassi. Yeah, I'm sorry that you're second choice, but I hope you'll help us out. Marassi deserves it. She deserves some recognition. So we switch to Chapter 3, back to Wax's point of view, as he returns to his mansion in his carriage. Stairs had gone back to her father's place, and Cobb, the man who had replaced Hoyd as his coachman, is quick to open the door of the carriage for Wax when they arrive. Wax thinks that steel pushing around the city...
Where'd Hoyd go, I wonder?
That's literally my question. After this paragraph is where do you think Hoyd is? Let me finish this paragraph first.
World.
But people didn't like seeing him out steel pushing during the day when he wasn't chasing criminals. As he exits the carriage, he tells Cobb to take the rest of the day off. So yeah, where do you think Hoyd's going to be in this book? He's going to show up.
Another world.
Well, no, he's supposed to show up in this book at some point. Do you
No,
think he just like
he's in another world.
Oh, you think he took a quick trip away and he's going to show back up later?
Yep. He's gonna kill off Wax's coachman, and he's gonna become them again.
What do you think, Darkness? Where do you think Hoyd is?
The timeline between worlds is kind of fucking disgusting. So I don't really know. Just because he's technically he doesn't have to be in the world where the book is happening, right? For the whole book.
No, not for the whole book. No, he's just supposed to show up at least once in the main stories and everything. So yeah, he could be off world and just shows up like right near the end or something.
That's what I'm saying. I'm gonna go with that,
Right.
and not necessarily to a different world, just not in there.
You think he might be like in Shadesmar, like maybe between worlds or something?
Yeah.
So as Wax enters his house, he feels that something is off. He notes a few small things and decides to take out his gun as well as drink a vial of metal flakes and whiskey. He has metal lines woven into the marble floors and uses those to push himself up to the second floor. He finds the Khandra in the brown suit.
Whiskey too.
He's taken a hint out of Renette's book and started making his mansion into an Alamancer's dream house. But yeah, so he finds the Khandra in the brown suit and presses the gun into his head. The Conjuror states that he isn't here to bother Wax and that he'd prefer not to have his antique skull broken. Once Wax is told the Conjuror is here with his friends, he puts down his gun and asks which Conjuror he is. The Conjuror introduces himself as Vendel of the 6th generation. He also asks that if Wax does shoot him, he do so in his left leg, as he doesn't care as much about those bones. Wax says he won't shoot Vendel and moves past him to go into the darkened room and sees Wayne, Melan, and Marassi inside. So what do you think about Marassi using Wax's house for her meeting with Vendel?
I mean, had to go somewhere.
Did you think darkness about Vendel showing up at Wax's place with Marassi?
Like I said, that was very petty, which I approve.
So Wax seems to believe that Vendel is only trying to work with Marassi to get him to work with them, causing Milan to call him full of himself. Marassi asks Wax if it's so shocking that they would want her help, and Wax apologizes, stating he's had a very long day and needs a drink. Marassi quietly asks for one as well. Vendel then sets up an image projector that shows a picture of the Field of Rebirth on the wall, causing the humans in the room to be shocked. Vendel and Melan also mention that Harmony accidentally told them they'd eventually create moving pictures, but he won't say anything more because humans need to struggle to learn things themselves, otherwise they won't survive what is to come. Marassi notes how ominous that sounds. So what do you think Harmony has seen coming for the people of Scadrial that he is so worried about?
The end.
Trell, imagine.
You think it's about Trell? Trell's gonna come try and kill them all or something?
It's always about Trell.
Yeah, I love hearing those ominous random sentences from Harmony. Just humans need to learn for what is to come. To be ready. So Marassi then asks about Trell, but Vendel says they have no new information on Trell or the spikes that may be related to Trell. He does say, though, they are worried about the intrusion of another god. He then moves on to show a table of the ferrochemical metals. He mentions that there are some things they don't understand about ferrochemy, such as why memories fade when being accessed from a copper metal mine, or why you get hungry when tapping mental speed. So why do you think people get hungry when tapping mental speed?
They're burning off all that excess, stamina.
They're burning off calories.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think
Yeah.
it's because, back then, they don't really understand that, technically, thinking hard can burn calories. And so I'm assuming that's what's happening, is they're, using so much brain power that they're, using up a fuck ton of calories. So Vendel then gestures towards the quadrant of ferrochemy that contains the words fortune, investiture, identity, and connection. Wax thinks that he had heard of them briefly when living in the village, but they have been considered beyond the understanding of anyone but God. Vendel explains that they've only recently gotten easy access to the metals that correlate to these abilities, so they haven't had much time to experiment with them. Although he does mention that Yeoman, the last obligator, had mentioned how they had gotten aluminum from ash mounts before the Catasandra. Vendel then moves on to asking Wax why others can't use his metal mines, and Wax says it's because they're his. Vendel states that allomancy and ferrochemy are forms of investiture, but metal mines are keyed to a specific person. He explains that investiture is either tied to your soul or to part of your soul, which exists in the spiritual realm. So if you were to store identity, you could potentially use any metal mine while doing so. However, Vendel is more interested in whether a ferrochemist could store another ability while storing identity, and then if that unkeyed metal mine could be used by anyone, whether they had Terrace blood or not. Vendel says the combination of the investiture and identity metal mines could potentially create people who could be both Mistborns and ferrochemists at the same time. Wax states, however, that you would need someone who is already a full Mistborn or ferrochemist to even create those bracers, which is impossible nowadays. Vendel, however, replies that being born with these powers is not the only way to get them. So what do you think about how a bunch of unkeyed metal mines could create another Lord Ruler?
What if... So I was thinking about this, right? What if the Lord Ruler stored his own identity into a thing? And if they really are able to use their stuff like that without being them, like somebody else's thing. If they assume that identity, right, would that just not be Lord Ruler 2.0?
It could be. That's what Vendel is worried about. Lord Ruler 2.0.
That's what's going to happen. And it's going to be a good thing.
Do you agree, Mythic?
Yes, I do agree, yes.
So Vendel then says that the Kandra are immortal and happy to wait for a full ferrochemist to be born before experimenting, especially since the Terrace are trying to condense their bloodlines. However, he worries that others, and Wax thinks about his uncle in the set, may use hemalurgy because they aren't as patient. Vendel also casually mentions that Breeze willed Vendel his hands, meaning that Wax has technically shaked his ancestors' hands, causing Wax to grab another drink. So what do you think about the Kandra worrying about the set using hemalurgy to create this basically a full Mistborn, full ferrochemist, Lord Ruler type person? Do you think that's their final plan?
Yeah, I was pretty sure. I think it's just making Mistborns in general, but yeah.
Yeah, you guys had said
They want the Lord
Mistborns
Ruler
in general because they were going after Allomancers, but if they were able to get ferrochemists and stuff as well, like, figure out hemalurgy, like, it's dangerous.
I mean, all the good things are.
They're literally just trying to follow the Lord Ruler's footsteps,
Mhm.
which honestly I completely support.
So Vendel then brings up the Lord Ruler's metal mines, which are called the Bands of Mourning. So yay, we get what the
Yeah, we
title
figured
of
out
the
what
book
those
is.
are. Oh no!
Title of the
It
book, Bands of
wasn't what I was
Mourning.
hoping.
It was not. The Bands of Mourning are apparently Lord Ruler's metal mines. And apparently Tensoon sort of remembers them being mentioned by Vin, but not much due to the holes in his memory from when his spikes were removed. Vendel thinks that the Bands of Mourning were unkeyed metal mines that anyone could use, although Wax thinks this is ridiculous because it relies on so many things that they aren't certain of. Vendel then shows a series of pictures that another conjurer named Raylur of the third generation took. It shows murals and statues depicting the Lord Ruler with the Bands of Mourning in a language that is completely unknown. Raylur has said that he saw the Bands of Mourning, although he doesn't have a picture of them, and one of his spikes was stolen on his way back to Elendel. What they want Marasi to do is find Raylur's spike as quickly as possible to reduce the amount of holes in his memory, since the longer he is without it, the worse his memory will become. So what do you think about Raylur potentially finding the Lord Ruler's unkeyed metal mines?
It's hard to. Y'all ever? Of course you have. You're old, but y'all ever
What?
watch Jumanji?
What?
Jumanji, yes, I've watched
Yeah.
Jumanji.
It's essentially this. It's happening.
Did you just call us old?
He did.
Yes.
It's fucking
What
rude.
the hell? Based off of Jumanji?
Ain't that an old ass
Right?
movie?
I
When did
mean,
Jumanji
depends
come
on which one
out?
you're talking about, because they
First one.
remade it.
Apparently it was a
If
1995 film.
I said
It's not
old,
that old.
it's if that's old.
Oh my god.
It's 30 years old this year, apparently.
Yeah, that's as old as I am.
I watched Jumanji
Bye.
multiple times on TV.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, yeah, Riddler is apparently a conjurer who likes to explore, and he's potentially found these unkeyed metal mines in a language that no one fucking has ever heard of before, including the Kandra. So Marasi
Yeah.
asks why
Yeah.
they can't give Riddler a new spike, since they had spikes to make earrings for Wax. However, the Kandra state that they used old Inquisitor spikes for the hemalurgic earrings, and that Kandra blessings need to be made very specifically. They also can't use another Kandra spikes, as they are keyed to the Kandra directly. Wax is reminded of Lessie and gets a bit upset as he thinks about her using so many different spikes, although they weren't Kandra spikes, so they caused slightly less issues for her. So what do you think about how Kandra blessings seem to be keyed to them, kind of like ferrochemical metal mines?
They're key to a soul, right?
Yeah, that's how the ferrochemy works, is the metal mines that you use are like keyed to you, so apparently the Kandra blessings are the same. Once they've been used on a Kandra, they are keyed to that Kandra's soul.
It makes sense considering what they used to be, right?
Right.
That's
right?
true. Yeah, they were terrorist people.
Also, there was a mention about a language, right?
Yes, there's an unknown language that is in the pictures that Riddler took.
And did they say anything else about the language besides it being unknown?
They said that even Harmony didn't. I think they said Harmony, or at least the Kandra don't recognize the language at all. Like, none of the humans in the room were like, I have no idea what that is. The Kandra were like, we have no idea what this is. It isn't even like an ancient language. Harmony didn't know
So
what
it's
the language
from another
was.
world.
Potentially, yes.
I feel like, first off, I feel like Harmony knows more than they're letting on, so.
That's true. Harmony is the manipulative bitch, but still.
Mhm.
So Vendel then asked Marasi to accompany Melon to New Saran to look for Raylur's spike, as that was where it had been taken. Marasi does ask for Wax to come with her for help, but Wax doesn't want to go. He instead apologizes for implying previously that he would be needed directly and says she can bring Wayne with her if need be. However, Vendel then shows one last image from New Saran that Raylur took, and it shows Wax's sister in it being held captive by some men. So what do you think about the set potentially being related to Raylur's spike removal?
Well, I mean, like I said, I'm pretty sure they were the ones getting into the hemalurgy stuff, right? Like deep within it.
Yeah. I mean, we have no
So-
confirmation they know about hemalurgy, but yeah, you've definitely had theories that they might be getting into hemalurgy.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be very surprised if they're gonna be messing with spikes in general and they know how to.
hmm
Right?
Also, what do you think about the fact that Raylur took a picture of Telson?
I heard though.
Hmm?
It feels very intentional.
Do you think
Like
Like
not in the
this-
way of like, oh, he took a picture of her because of something else, but more
Yeah.
like it's intentional that Wax sees the picture now.
do you think the set
like-
tried to do that on purpose, or do you think like Raylur was trying
Yeah,
to do that
for
because
sure.
he knew about Wax, or
I feel like honestly, at this point it could be a mix.
what do you think, Mythic?
What was the question? Sorry.
Like, what do you think about we were kind of talking about like whether it was set up that Riddler was able to get a picture of Telson? Like, do you think like maybe the set like made sure he got a picture before they took out his spike, or do you think that like Riddler like saw them and wanted to take a picture of Telson like because like he's been following the set or because he wanted Wax involved somehow. Like Darkness was just saying that he felt like it was kind of like it's not really much of a coincidence that Talson's in this picture.
It's I feel
Yeah,
like
I
it's
don't
more
think so
like
either, but
yeah, it's more like you know how the fucking Harmony was like, oh, we had to kill this girl off, his wife, to get him over
Yeah.
here. Oh, this time it's more like, oh, we gotta show him that the fucking sister is here so we can get him over there. Because as soon as he saw that shit, he was like, let's go right here, right now.
Yeah, because he's like, well, I can't just abandon my sister again.
It's a pattern and it's disgusting.
Do you think it's maybe more Harmony and or the Khandra that are manipulating Wax here instead,
It
not
could
the
be
set?
it could be literally all three of them unintentionally working together. Because
I mean, his uncle's
the
definitely
freaking-
using his sister against Wax, like
Yes,
so
right.
that Wax
That's
won't
the
take him
thing.
down.
But Harmony could literally be like, oh, this helps me so much because, you know, he was gonna want to help his sister. Might as well put her into the fray a little more to show
Mhm.
off why it's important to, like, do what I want.
Yeah.
Like, he's feeding off of, like, the situation, which is, like,
All right. So we switch to
knowing
Go ahead.
how Saze used to be is kind of crazy how he is now.
right?
So we switch to Wayne's point of view as he wanders around on the second floor of Wax's mansion, looking at all the fancy stuff. You can hear Wax speaking to Steris about how he has to go looking for his sister, but how he's upset that the Khandra and Harmony have just brushed past what happened with him and Leslie like it wasn't a big deal. Steris is encouraging Wax to go look for his sister, although she doesn't reply when he rants about the Khandra and Harmony. Wayne thinks that people shouldn't expect apologies out of gods, although he is curious about this supposed new god.
We shouldn't ask for an apology. Yep, totally.
Yeah, Wayne's just like,
still demand
I
an
mean, he's
apology.
God. He can just do whatever he wants. I don't care. He doesn't need to apologize. He's fucking God.
Hmm. I think he needs to apologize to Wax.
If this was Kelsier,
He's
would you say
fucking
Kelsier
God?
needed to apologize? I feel like you wouldn't. You'd just
Yes,
be like, no, Kelsier's
yes.
God.
No, Kelsier should apologize too if he did something like that. Yes.
Okay, fair enough. As long as you're treating all gods
I don't
equally.
think- yeah, I am.
Good. It's fair enough then. So Wax then mentions that even if he's angry at Harmony and the Khandra, he needs to go try and help his sister. He also says there's a gathering of politicians in New Saran soon, so he can go there as a cover. He says that he'll look for his uncle while Marassi looks for Raylar's Spike. Saracen says that she is going as well, even if it will be dangerous. So what do you think about Steris wanting to tag along?
He doesn't want to let go of her man.
You happy Steris is
Yeah,
coming
I mean-
along, Mythic?
No, but you know, it is what it is.
I mean, we know she likes the
You know
dangerous
what?
situations.
You know what? Steris and Renette and ghouls.
Wow.
So suddenly there's a knock on the door, and Wayne is surprised to see Vendel back in with a new tan suit, although not the same one as before. The butler pushes past Wayne, saying that Wax had asked for him and that he was expected in the sitting room. Before Vendel goes to meet with Wax, he asks if he can have Wayne's skeleton when he dies, as bloodmakers tend to have very interesting bones, due to them going from being sick and healthy quite quickly. So what do you think about how Vendel collects people's bones? Like he just breathes his hands, he
I
wants
love
Wayne's
it.
skeleton.
I love that he has breathed his hand, to be honest.
Both of them. He's got both hands.
Yeah.
Apparently he's got some
They're like
fancy
gloves.
antique skull as well. Would you say, Darkness?
I said they're like gloves.
Would you guys give your skeletons to Vendel if he asked for them? You
Yes. Yes, I would. After I died, obviously.
would? Yeah, I mean he's not asking like Wayne to just die. He's like, after you die, can you just like will your skeleton to me?
As soon as he says
Build
yes,
your skeleton.
there's gonna be very suspicious traps left and right for him.
Yep.
Yeah, Vendel's just slowly
Wayne.
trying to like
Wayne.
cause Wayne's death.
Wayne can take it.
I like the fact that as he reacted exactly how I would.
Which is what? How would you react, Darkness?
Wags.
Yeah, and like literally Wayne just goes like, Wax, he's being creepy.
Being weird again.
So that's literally the next sentence is Wayne then goes complaining to Wax that Vendel is being creepy, and Vendel follows him into the sitting room. Vendel had brought everything Wax and Marassi would need for their trip to New Saran, including everything they'd been able to get out of Raylur about what had happened to him. Wax asks Vendel to join them, but Vendel very much does not want to go out into public, and says he'll have Melan with them. He also says their train will leave in 4 hours, which makes Steris freak out a bit as she needs to get things sorted and make a list. Waxon says they'll be there, and Wayne heads out, saying he'll meet them at the train station, and that he has a packed sack under his bed that's always ready. Wayne then pretends to be a fancy rich man, using Wax's name, but not exactly acting like him, as he calls over a boatman to help him out for the day. When the man eventually gives Wayne a price, Wayne accepts, but thinks the man is overcharging him quite a bit. After a bit, Wayne changes his accent slightly to make the man nervous to get rid of him exactly where he wanted to go. Wayne specifically wanted to get a gift for a god. So did you realize this god that Wayne was talking about at first was Renette, or did you think he was
No.
talking about like Trell or like something else for a bit?
I thought he had a whole religion hidden behind his sleeve.
Yeah, I agree.
He's like, I gotta get a gift for a god, and then we find out that God is Renette. Gotta give her a
With-
goodbye gift.
Valid.
So Wayne wanders over to a fried potato stand, asking the man who ran it if he wanted some help. The man agrees as he knows Wayne, and Wayne takes the money from the customers for him and barely eats any of the man's stock. He eventually shortchanges a rich man and then buys his wallet off of him for the money he had owed him, without the man noticing. However, he realizes one side of the wallet is worn a bit, so it wouldn't make a good offering for his god. He then notices some urchins and trades a silver fork to a baker for some rolls, and gives them to the urchins, telling the little girl that she can have 5 and to give away the rest to the others. As Wayne continues on, he tips a minstrel the silver spoon from his cutlery set, leaving him with just the knife as he slides along the street and falls into the canal. Next, Wayne finds a man writing down motor vehicle numbers to fine them for leaving them parked on the sidewalk, and Wayne pulls out his knife to take the man's notebook and give him the knife in return. The man chases Wayne for 10 streets before giving up. A woman glances out her window at him, and Wayne steals her pen to write something in the notebook before throwing the pen back to her. So what do you think about Wayne's adventure to get a present for Renette?
It's an offering for
man.
his god.
Yeah, exactly. All gods need offerings, obviously.
He goes through like quite a bit of trading and stuff to find something he thinks of worthy, though.
Yeah,
Oh
but I
my
don't think
God.
it's the first time he's done that, though.
You might want to put air quotes on the trading.
Yeah.
And
Wayne
heck
calls
ain't
it trading.
trading anything.
It is trading, though. Because he does leave something for them. It's just not willing
something
trading.
they wouldn't want.
Not always of equal value and not always something they would want.
Bad trades do exist. They're called scams.
Yeah, but usually those bad trades still are, the person willingly did.
So eventually Wayne gets to Renette's new house, as she had moved recently, and leaves the notebook at her door. However, as he goes to leave, he runs into her. She mentions leaving cords for wax and accuses Wayne of potentially breaking into her house. However, Wayne says that he just left her a book as a gift as she's always writing down ideas. His note inside of it said to her, "Thank you and goodbye," not meaning that he'd never see her again, but meaning that he'd stop pursuing her. Renette smiles and tells Wayne it's about time and thanks him. However, before he leaves, he briefly makes a joke about getting with both Renette and her girlfriend. Renette is not pleased with this, so he tells her to try to forget that part of their conversation.
Was that a joke, though?
It definitely
wasn't.
It definitely was something he wanted, but was
was
like,
not a
let's pretend it didn't happen because you're not interested.
Not a joke.
Oh, but it's still down. I mean, what?
But yeah, so what do you think about Wayne telling Renette that he's going to finally give up his crush on her?
Don't believe it.
No? You don't think he's actually going to give up on her?
No. Why would you give up on a god?
What do you think, Darkness? Do you think Wayne's finally going to give up on Renette and try and find some other love
Yeah.
interest?
Yeah. Only because there's going to be an opening for a new love interest. The Lord Ruler.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Imagine.
He's actually going to start dating Wax's uncle and then become Wax's uncle-in-law.
Oh my god. You need to leave tonight.
Oh, wait, who's the person he keeps, I can't remember her name. Is it Marassi? Is that the one?
Marassi he hangs out with quite a bit,
Mar-
yeah.
Yeah, but isn't she the one that he's like, you should totally get with Wax, right?
Yeah.
That's Marassi, right? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I had to make sure. Names are fucking hard sometimes. But yeah, I think Marassi and Wayne will end up getting together if Renette doesn't pan out.
Really?
Yep. I think they have an odd
I don't
connection.
see them as a good. You know who I think?
I don't
would
see them
be
as a good couple. Don't get me wrong. I think Renette would have been a better couple, but I still think that's a possibility.
I see Wayne
Not
better
really.
with Bailon or whatever her name is.
Milan, the Condra.
Mhm.
I mean, he is
Yeah.
a Condra, so
And then the Conjures belong together.
Fair,
yeah,
fair.
exactly. Whatever happened to Tensoon's wife?
Tensu never had a wife. Do you mean Sei's
Okay, love
girlfriend?
interest. Whatever her. No, but
Tensu never had a love interest.
I think the love interest
What
you're
are you
thinking
talking
about is
about?
Melon.
You joked that
Is
Meilon
it
was a
Meilon?
love interest for him, but they weren't. He raised her. It was like supposed to be like a father-daughter relationship.
love
You
it.
kept
That's
saying
a
they were a
love
love
interest.
interest.
Isn't that the person who saved him? Yeah, definitely a love
Yes.
interest.
Yeah, that was Meilon, but
Yeah,
it
love
wasn't
interest.
supposed to be a love interest.
They're definitely a love interest, though.
I mean, they're still not
Midnight-
together, and it's been 350 years.
Midnight, can you really be surprised that someone
Love
would think that
interest.
considering how Kelsey and Vin were?
Yeah, I mean, obviously they were love interests, right?
No, they also were not supposed to be love interests.
Okay, but how many people think that though?
There's definitely people who ship
Exactly.
them anyways, but they're not supposed to be.
But
Anyways,
they are, though. So.
Wayne then walks away, whistling to himself the song that had been playing when he and Renette first met. Wayne then tricks a carriage driver into driving him to the train station for the empty wallet. And then he wanders over to Wax
Which is
Marassi.
hilarious.
Yeah, pretends to drop in and they fight over it and there's nothing in it. He wanders over to Wax, Marassi, and Steris as Wax shouts at Wayne for almost being late. Wayne also pretends to be drunk, causing Steris to reprimand him. Eventually, they get on the train, and Wayne quickly climbs onto the roof of the train car, whistling to himself. And then we move on to our final chapter, Chapter 5, which is the start of
Wait.
Part 2.
Did we ever get into like the background for Kelsier's girl, his wife,
Mare?
yeah.
Yeah, the one that drew the picture of the flower and all
Yeah.
Yeah, she drew the picture of the flower. I mean, there was the whole thing where, like, he thinks that she betrayed them because the Lord Ruler and, like, the Inquisitors find them in, like, the Lord Ruler's basement. But then you find out that, like, if you have, like, hemalurgy or, like, really strong, bronze or whatever, you can, like, pierce copper clouds, because I think she was, like, a copper user, and that's how he found them, so she never actually betrayed him, and it was, like, a whole big thing. That was the backstory of Mare.
Well, we didn't get more details, right?
We
Yeah,
don't really get
right.
more than that, no. We just get that she's a copper misting. They'd been together for a while. Kelsier's brother Marsh also had a thing for her for a while, but she was more interested in Kelsier.
Did they know her their whole life, or?
I don't think so, because they like left their parents. They like had to like leave because their dad, or I don't remember what exactly, but they had like been raised noble for like their childhood, and then it got like potentially found out or something, or like they were close to being found out that they were like half noble, half Ska, and so they had to like leave.
And where did she get that idea for the flower?
I think it was from Sazed. I think they said that she knew Sazed, and Sazed had been telling her, she had been really interested in some of like the religions and stuff about the past that Sazed had been telling her, and so she learned about like the flower and like the green grass and stuff from some of Sazed's old religions that he had like memorized.
You know, that does seem very Vin.
Mhm.
I wish she had screen time. Screen time. In my head, this is a movie, okay?
I mean, she probably would in a
Time.
movie. You'd probably see like some flashbacks of her when Kelsier talks about it.
Okay, but when that happens, I'd be like, I wish she had more screen time.
Maybe one day we'll get a Mistborn movie.
I thought we were
That's the
getting a
point,
game.
though.
Weren't we getting a Mistborn game?
We're getting. I mean, there's the board game and stuff. We're also getting a.
I thought it was a video game.
No, I need an open RPG.
I don't think we are. I think there
Yeah.
was like talks of one happening, but I don't think we're getting a video game.
Can you
Wow.
imagine? This shit would be so good as like an
be.
Assassin's Creed style game.
Right, it would be. Set in like Luthadel or something.
Yeah.
Push and
The time of
pull
the
around
Lord
the
Ruler.
city.
The Lord Ruler is the final boss.
Oh my
It
gosh.
definitely has to be Era 1, though, so.
Oh yeah, it would
Mhm.
have to be Era 1.
That's what I meant.
Yeah, definitely have to be Era 1. Era 2 is just boring.
Okay, but Era
Would
2
make
can be
sense.
like
Erica
the
2
second
can be like
game.
Red Dead
Investigation.
Redemption, but with fucking Alamancy.
Jesus. Wild Wild West. Okay.
You're out in the roughs.
I mean, that's basically what it is.
Anyway, so chapter 5, we switch back to Wax's point of view as he looks outside the window of the train car, realizing he had forgotten how populated the Elendel Basin was. They barely went 5 minutes without passing through another town or village, and in between were orchards and fields. He then opens up a case from Renette that has 3 metal balls with cords wrapped around them, and a shotgun that had extremely powerful bullets that Renette wants him to test out. So what do you think about the fact that, like, Wax is like, oh yeah, people exist outside of the Elendel Basin in the Roughs? He just, like, apparently forgets that
Right.
there's, like, other, like, towns and cities. Like, there's, like, a whole bunch of, like, towns and cities.
I mean, did we ever figure out what happened to the people that were on the other side of the world?
No, we
They
have no
burned
idea.
alive.
Like an offhanded comment, and then all of a sudden, we no longer think about them, I guess.
Just a random little comment about from, like, Says at the end of, like, Hero of Ages, just like, oh, hey, isn't there, like, people over there? Who cares?
What if it's like white sand though? What if it's like white sand or whatever the fuck it's called?
Oh, when they're like,
White Sand's a whole other place, right?
yeah, I think he's saying that, like, it's kind of like how
Whole
in White
other-
Sand there's, like, the
Oh.
dark side and the light side of the planet, where, like, there's completely
Oh,
different
yeah.
cultures and peoples living in, like, the 2 different sides of the planet. So Wax then notices the train coming into a station, and protesters throwing eggs at the train while holding signs stating to stop Elendel oppression. He tries to ask Steris about it, but she is completely engrossed in a book she is reading. Once Wax gets her attention, she says she was reading about the history of New Saran. She eventually composes herself and says that the cities outside the basin, or outside of Elendel, are upset about all the taxes that Elendel puts on them, as well as on all the goods that come into Elendel. Apparently all the rivers and train lines go into Elendel and not between any of the other cities. Steris also tells Wax that technically he has supported these taxes as well because he's had Steris voting for him, and he told her to vote in his house's best interests. Without the taxes, Wax's textiles and metalworks would be undercut by factories in the outer cities. Wax complains that he isn't good at politics, but Steris says it's more that Wax isn't excited by politics, and that's more of the issue. She then shows that she brought all of the house ledgers that had been gone over by the accountants, so that she could double check them as she had planned to do so before their unexpected trip. So what do you think about how literally all of the train lines and rivers and everything go into Ellendale, and like all of the other cities are pretty fucked over because they're not allowed to have train lines like between them. Like you have to go, even if there's like a town like technically what would be by train an hour away, you'd have to go like 2 hours into Ellendale and then 2 hours back out of Ellendale to get to that town that should only be an hour away.
Like Ellendale's the better spot, anyways. So
The other cities are not happy about it. They're like, you're
yeah,
fucking us over, bitch.
have an economic war. God, I mean, why don't they just put tariffs on you? I'm just
Oh
kidding.
my god.
That's basically what Ellendale's doing to all the other cities.
What? There's no tariffs. They don't
Well,
even know what
it's
that means yet.
taxes. It's taxes instead of tariffs, but still. Got a whole bunch of taxes.
Yeah, taxes are normal.
They're getting double taxed.
You know, move to Arendelle then.
Ellendale, you mean?
Whatever.
Pretty sure Arendelle is the place for
Same
Frozen.
thing. Yeah, move there. That's a better place, anyways. I mean, you might get frozen, but you know, or the cold shoulder at some point.
So as Steris gets out some more documents, Wax takes a look at her book, which is about human reproduction and has diagrams of human anatomy. Steris is extremely embarrassed as she says no one would tell her much, and although she understands the basics, she is worried about doing things wrong once they are married. Apparently she had even tried to interview some prostitutes, but they wouldn't tell her anything either and got very protective of her. Steris is very worried about her ability to have children and provide an heir for Wax, but he insists she isn't just her ability to reproduce, and he doesn't bring anything other than his title to their marriage. So what do you think about Steris worrying that she's gonna be bad at sex?
He's right.
Probably is. Usually they are when they're on there for for the first time.
Right? She's like, no one will tell me anything.
Nobody should tell
That
you
is
anything. Go watch
disappointing, though.
Go watch something. Just
What
go
were you saying,
sneak
Alex?
Just pays
into
them to show
somebody's
them.
random house. Yeah,
Oh my god, just
so she can be
find
their
the
cut
window.
for sure. Yeah, just look through the window and watch and be like,
Oh
"Oh,
my
that's how
God.
it's done."
Papa, Mama.
God.
Mom, Dad, can you show me how to have sex?
Oh god.
Oh no!
That's horrible. That's horrible. Okay, we're gonna move on from that. Wax awkwardly tells Steris that she doesn't
Why?
need to have sex with him much, which seems to upset Steris, so he apologizes. He also tells her this,
have
that
sex
she
with
means
me.
more to him than just the contract. She had let him cry over Lessie instead of just trying to tell him that she understood what he was going through, which had been exactly what he needed from her at the time. Wax then shows off Renette's latest grappling hook design, which has a special mechanism inside of it that Wax can push on to cause the hooks to come out. Wax talks about how he loves the law even though he enjoys pushing against boundaries, and how exciting the mystery and hunt of it all is. However, Steris tells him that politics can be like that as well, finding out people's motivations and what they are saying, and what of what they are saying is a lie versus the truth. She says the house ledgers are the same, that there is a mystery in where the 3 missing clips are in the books. Wax didn't think he found it as exciting as Steris, but Steris seemed so happy that he agreed to look through the ledgers with her. So what do you think about how both Steris and Wax seem to love mysteries and puzzles, but in completely different ways?
I mean, they seem too similar, and you know how they say opposites attract.
Disgusting.
So that was the end of our chapters. That went a little bit quicker than I was expecting. I think sometimes there's a lot of retelling of some stuff during like the first initial pages of a new book in a series.
No, I think it was just you moving too fast. That's what it
Might
is.
have been.
Honestly.
So we got our overview questions.
You were trying to get it done faster. I understand.
We got some overview questions. First of all, what do you think about Wax and Steris' relationship, and do you think they're actually going to get married in this book?
Heck no. I don't think they're gonna get married at all.
Wait, who?
Wax and Steris.
Oh,
do you think they're
No,
actually going to
they're
get
not.
married?
It's not happening. No.
Do you think that Wayne is going to find a new love interest in this book now that he's
Yes,
apparently given up
Marassi.
on Renette?
I literally said that.
Yeah. What do you think about the Condra seeing value in Marassi? Like, what are you proud that they're considering her more?
I mean, she is the best sharpshooter in the entire group, so you know
Yeah.
She'd be great at Valorant.
she would.
Do you think that the set are going to be more prominent in this book?
No, I don't think very often.
Yeah, do you think they're going to be like the kind of the main bad guys this time around? Finally, now that we're going to like get back to them, or are they going to still
Wait,
kind of
you
be
say
like a back?
finally?
Well, last
Like they
book
weren't before?
They weren't in the first book. Technically, they were like the backers of Miles, but Miles were the main bad guy. The second book, Leslie's the main bad guy. Like, do you think they're going to be like the actual main bad guy this book? So there's
Yes.
like a secondary bad guy.
I think they've always been the bad guy. I don't think it's just this book.
Wait, who's the set?
Yeah.
No. I don't think they're the bad guys.
No.
Here's what I think.
Okay, go ahead.
I think that they're trying to do the same shit the Lord Ruler is, right? In the same prospect of him not thinking himself as the bad guy, but as the protector. and they're taking it as them being the bad guy because they are doing it in a bad way. But ultimately, there's the third party bad guy that's actually pulling up.
I see. Who do you think? Do you have any theories about who a third party bad guy might be then?
Would it not just be Cho?
Okay,
Am
you
I
just
tripping?
think it's okay. You're just saying that Trell's the full bad guy, and the set's kind of like a ruse or something. They're not actually fully bad guys.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with that.
Okay. Also,
Watch
now
Cho not be a person or anything like that. Watch it be like an idea.
well, I mean, to Miles, Trell was like a god, like a replacement for Harmony or Kelsier or the Lord Ruler. Because he's like, I'm not a survivorist or a Pathian. I'm a follower of Trell.
And what's that religion called?
I believe
Trellism.
I think it was called Trellism. Yeah, in the Mistborn Era 1. I believe that's what Sayst calls it.
Huh.
Also, what do you guys think the main plot of this book is going to be now that we're a few chapters in and kind of have an idea about it?
Finding the bands of mourning, obviously.
I said what I said, and I stand by it.
What'd you say?
I said
Trelling.
sex.
Oh.
Oh, sex.
I think you like cut out when you said it previously, so I
Oh.
didn't hear that. I like saw you like pop up slightly and then like, but I didn't actually hear the word
Yeah,
originally.
no. That's gonna be the whole thing.
I see.
You don't disagree, right?
Yeah, no, that's definitely what it is.
Definitely sex, for sure.
100%.
Nothing else it could be darkness.
No.
I mean, that's what all of Brandon's books are about, right? I mean, that's
Sex,
I
just,
mean-
exactly.
full on
I mean,
like
you're not
sexual romance porn books. That's what they are.
okay,
Yeah.
but
For sure. Aren't they?
how many books has there been sex in that we've read here?
None.
I mean, there's
That's not
mentions of
true.
it.
Because the very first book was interesting.
Yeah, but who was having sex? Which one?
You're joking, right? You don't remember when they were trying to do stuff, and then it's like
They were pretending. They never actually did it.
I don't
Oh
remember.
no, they do it
actually,
once.
Yeah,
Wait, no, they do it
Yeah,
once because
it was at the end.
They win. I don't
Siri.
remember.
I mean, they don't go into detail about it, but Siri
Oh, well,
says
that's why I don't remember.
yeah, because he never actually like fully writes it out. But there is a time where Siri's like, I really shouldn't do this, but I'm gonna do it anyways. And it's like,
Yeah.
and they already know at that point that Siri that like they want Siri to be pregnant just to get rid of her. And so she's like, this is a really bad idea. It's like, yes, Siri, this is a really fucking bad idea.
Nah, it's not a bad idea.
It's a great idea.
Exactly. What was
So
the
yeah.
question?
We were just talking about what the main plot of the book was going to be. I think you.
Okay, I didn't know if you had another question.
No,
Sorry.
yeah, that was we kind of just got into a bunch of
pause.
stuff there. So yeah, any other theories or thoughts before we end the episode?
No.
Nope.
I said everything I needed to say.
All right,
Yep,
so
All about sex.
next episode we're going to be doing chapters 6 through 11. And yeah, thank you to our Patreons, Hubris, Kaladin Dies in Book 3, and Kyle. We appreciate you guys so much. And thank you to all the free Patreons for just hanging out. We appreciate you too. And we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Say bye, Mythic.
No. I
Bye,
don't wanna say bye.
Mythic.
I think we should always be here.